A very good evening, folks. Thanks for clicking on to the Saturday edition of Vogan's European Outlook. It's the 26th of February. Back 2 weeks ago on the 11th, I did make the statement that we could see one of the warmest Februaries on record this year for the continent of Europe, possibly one of the warmest for the UK as well. And it certainly continues to look that way as we edge towards the first month of meteorological spring. I did tweet earlier regarding the similarity between February 2020 and February 2022, and Shrine Bruin kindly shared the upper air, the 500 millibar geopotential height anomalies here, and very, very similar indeed with regards to the setup here. Strong negative extending between Iceland and Scandinavia, strong positive extending from the Atlantic right across southern Europe here. So very strong westerly influence, and of course a warmer than normal Atlantic with a major transport of ocean air, enhanced by that warmer than normal Atlantic getting swept across the continent of Europe. Lo and behold, you have exceptional mild conditions here. So this is the upper air pattern for the month of February so far, and this is what we had back in February 2020. So basically 2 years ago, we had a near identical type of February, and the 2 meter temperature anomalies look like this here. So this is February so far, and you notice here that we've got, of course, very warm eastern portion of Europe here, and we've got average conditions across Scotland, warmer than normal, encompassing the majority of Britain, including all of Ireland as well here. Notice here that this is 2020, and you can see here that arguably Scotland was average to slightly below average. Ireland was mainly average, warmer than normal across England and Wales. So when you compare, 2 years ago during the month of February versus now, it looks for the UK at least to have been a warmer February this year versus 2 years ago. But for the continent of Europe, it looks as if it is a close match. But I would reckon actually that Europe was warmer back 2 years ago during February versus this year. But the UK actually was warmer than normal compared to 2 years ago, if that makes sense. But very interesting indeed. I will share with you in today's video how my concern about a major shift, where I think we're already starting to see that in the pattern that could shape the type of spring that we've got coming up across the British Isles and across the continent overall. So I want to show you firstly what we've got going at this very moment in time. So where are we at? I do think that we're starting to see the shift. We're starting to see higher pressure building, and there is indications of that higher pressure becoming more established and working its way up towards the higher latitudes here. So this is the setup at the moment. Three key components that we're looking at here. The first being a very strong area of high pressure over Europe. That is in turn holding back this frontal system from moving west to east in across the UK. But however, the high is not quite strong enough to stop this system affecting the UK, particularly west coast, northwest of the UK. We're going to see gales, we're going to see heavy rainfall at times, and increased cloud cover. Now across England and Wales, like last night, we should see frosty conditions under clear skies and relatively light winds. Further north, with more breeze, cloud cover, and outbreaks of rain, much milder. So that system eventually pushes its way in during the course of tomorrow, Sunday. It kind of fades in place as it bumps into that area of high pressure. Then we're watching this feature here out over the Atlantic, deepens, very deep, potent area of low pressure. 5 days ago, that system could have made a close approach in the UK, could have even become the next named storm, believe it or not, bringing more damaging winds, more disruption, and unfortunately possibly even more death to the UK. Thankfully, the area of high pressure over Europe is too strong. It then redirects this deep area of low pressure up towards Iceland here. So we're starting to see the changes taking place. High pressure over Europe, more dominant, more effective than the Atlantic jet stream. The jet stream over the Atlantic is starting to weaken. That is going to allow heights to build further north here. Up until now, there's been no chance of high pressure building north. The jet stream, far too powerful, exiting North America, crossing the Atlantic and into the British Isles. Now that we've started to see the changes taking place over North America, that has now altered the jet stream. It, in a sense, has actually weakened the jet stream quite considerably as we go forward here. So thankfully, that area of low pressure is moving up towards the north. We are, however, going to see the effects of that front. That frontal system is going to bring gale force winds to the western portion of the UK, northwest as well, Northern Isles, etc. But even still, we've got the weather coming through. But notice here that we've got an area of high pressure starting to build in from the southwest here. So that is going to set the stage for a reasonably decent start to the week. Now, Monday, we've got wet weather. We've got an area of low pressure here off the northwest coast of France. That's extending a shield of heavy precipitation for a period of time, maybe enhanced winds as well. During the day on Monday, that clears out. Then that disturbed weather is replaced by settled weather with the area of high pressure building into the UK. It gets interesting, I think, as we push towards the middle and second half of next week here. High pressure becomes more established, but notice here that we start to see the area of high pressure lifting somewhat further north up into Scandinavia. Now, there is still a reason to not necessarily buy into any particular solution, but there is increasing evidence suggests that high pressure dominates the UK up until about Wednesday, but it also becomes more established up across Scandinavia. Therefore, in turn, the further north the Scandinavian high builds, the more chance that we start to see colder air getting dumped into Europe. And of course, with the high pressure established further north, you start to get the kind of clockwise winds around the area of high pressure, and then starts to kind of push colder continental air westwards underneath towards the UK. And as we press towards the end of the week and into next week in particular, that area of high pressure looks as if it's more established. It's holding back the Atlantic influence, and that looks as if it could be quite a chilly overall theme. And like I say, the key is going to be exactly where that area of high pressure becomes established here. So we're already starting to see changes taking place. Notice here, this is of course a long way out, Friday the 11th of March. Notice that we're starting to see areas of low pressure getting deflected further south, high pressure further north, and that starts to set the scene for a reversal in the upper winds from westerly that has been so dominant lately to more easterly, and that certainly could be rather interesting indeed. I think I'm starting to lean towards a cooler, if not cold, March, and there is also reason to believe that could extend further down the road here. We'll look at the stratosphere before the end of this video because it's looking rather interesting. I know many people, of course, after the type of winter that we've had, you don't want a cold, wet spring. You just want to get into good weather. If we're not going to get cold during the winter time, you want to get warm during spring. Unfortunately, a lot of cold, mild winters can actually be followed by kind of cold, nagging, chilly springs, and there is reason to think that this spring could actually be fairly chilly indeed. So it is certainly looking interesting as we go forward here, and there is a lot of evidence to support chilly. Arctic oscillation firmly dominant throughout the course of the winter, with the exception of this little dip around the turn of the month of February, but largely it's been positive, driven by a strong polar vortex, of course. And if we look at the GFS ensemble here, this is kind of what I'm talking about with regards to that northward progression of high pressure that may indicate more blocking, more chill as we go through the month of March here. So this is off the ensemble, GFS ensemble, and this is the upcoming 5-day period. Notice two key areas of high pressure, one over Scandinavia and one over the north coast of Canada, extending towards the Arctic region. In the 6 to 10 day, you notice here that we start to see that positive anomaly extending further north here, and this is what I'm talking about here. We're starting to see changes taking place. For long enough, we've seen all the low pressure dominated underneath the strong polar vortex that we've seen in the last 5 to 6 weeks. But now that we're starting to see weakening of the polar vortex, we're starting to see the height rises further north here up into the Arctic region. This is the 13-day period here of the GFS ensemble. And, it is looking very interesting, folks. We've not seen this really since the month of December. That is looking more and more like a negative Arctic oscillation here. To reinforce what I'm thinking in terms of the springtime, which can still be a bust in terms of what I'm thinking, it might not necessarily happen because, of course, I thought at the beginning of the winter that all the things were coming together. We're going to get a cold winter. That literally the opposite took place. So I'm not going to get carried away too much here, but certainly the modelling is becoming more and more persistent with the overall idea of a sudden stratospheric warming. The concern is, of course, that as we go out of winter into the springtime, this could set the stage for a very, very nasty spring in terms of cold, wet, late snowfalls, harsh frosts for the time of the year. It's basically a case of you're going to get possibly, based on this, we're going to get our winter now as just at the point that you want to get spring, you want to get warmth, you want to get your shorts and t-shirt on, you want to sit by the pool, in your back garden. I know there's plenty of houses down in the south of England that have pools in their back garden now, and I'm sure many folks are thinking, well, do you know what? We never had a winter. Let's get into the summer regime, and it could come very late indeed this year. And I've even got my thoughts about the overall summer itself here. So you can see here as I play through the loop, 10 HPA, temperature anomalies. Look at that there, warming, strong warming, extending from Siberia right across the pole. We've not seen that over Greenland as well, so that would indicate, possibly reflect more Greenland blocking. And you can see the strong weakening of that vortex here. So it certainly looks as if the GFS is indicating that it's going to give one last shot at trying to destroy this polar vortex, and the modelling is becoming firmer with this idea. Now, if this was to materialise, I think towards the end of March, through a good chunk of April, could be well below normal temperature-wise, and we could see some significant, possibly significant winter weather. Now, of course, we've seen that back in April and even May last year. We could see something similar as we go forward this year here. So certainly all to play for. Winter, I don't think, folks, is done, not by a long shot. So thanks for watching. I do appreciate it. As always, I do appreciate your comments also. And of course, please like, share the videos, and of course, subscribe. And always hit the bell button for the notifications of each upload. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I will try to be back again tomorrow. If not, back again Monday. Bye for now.